Okay. Welcome. Okay, so today's video has been much requested, and it's something that I think is really interesting. That is which Pokemon that we know have been revealed already are going to be strong and competitive next year. Specifically, of course, in VGC, the official competitive format. That's really where we're looking here. So basically, as some of you know, as most of you probably know if you're watching this video, not every Pokemon's going to be in the game, and we can assume, and I think it's a pretty reasonable assumption, that the regional decks, aka all the Pokemon revealed to be in Sword and Shield, are the ones that are going to be a part of the metagame next year, as VGC formats almost always follow the exact same pattern in terms of formats. So what that means is that we have a pretty good look at some of the Pokemon that are going to be allowed already. Obviously, this is purely a theory video, without knowing what the new Pokemon do, without knowing their stats and stuff. It's all speculation, so of course take this with a grain of salt and understand that this is, just what we know so far. It's just fun speculation, and a lot depends on like how the new Pokemon work, the new mechanics, new moves, etc. A lot can change. That being said, I still think it's pretty interesting, and I think it's still useful to take a look at what has been revealed so far, because there's actually a lot of good Pokemon in this dex. So without further ado, this is Top 10 Pokemon that have been revealed so far for next year's VGC. So the first Pokemon that I think is probably number 10 on the list is Jigglypuff, personal favorite of mine. Something that I think is really interesting at a first glance, I can make another video talking about this if you guys want, is there's a ton of weather next year. There's Pelipper, there's Jigglypuff, there's Tyranitar, there's Abomasnow, there's, I believe, Aurora. I don't know if this. Okay, well, there might be the Ice Dragon. What's that thing called? I thought it was Aurorus. When is it? Gen 6? Well, maybe not. Anyway, I thought the Ice Dragon was here. I guess not. But there's definitely a Abomasnow. There's Abomasnow. There's a ton of sand. There's Hippowdon. Normally not very good in VGC. Though, of course, I did bring it to Worlds. Thank you, 2013. Jigglypuff. Pretty good in 2017. And then Tyranitar. Tyranitar kind of has, like, mixed reviews. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's not that good. Tyranitar is a Pokemon that has a lot of like different versatile sets it can run, whereas Jigglypuff in 2017 mostly ran like Curse. It normally ran Curse, Stone Edge, Protect, and did it run Earthquake? I feel like it ran Earthquake, but that might be wrong. I actually don't remember what the last move people ran on Jigglypuff was. Rock Slide is also a good one. Actually, it might have been Curse, Rock Slide, Stone Edge, now that I think about it. But yeah, there was a team called Fake PG, Feeny, Arcanine, Cortana, Electric, normally Coco, Porygon 2, and Jigglypuff, and it was really strong. Jigglypuff has like super good natural bulk with Sandstream. It's actually so incredibly bulky. Those of you who watch WBE probably are aware of that. It's just like a super bulky Pokemon. It's really solid. It's a really good Trick Room sweeper. It hits very hard. And it has a decent matchup against a lot of the other things that I'm going to list here. So for that reason, I like Jigglypuff as a Pokemon that, like, if it doesn't get a lot of usage, I wouldn't be shocked. However, I do think that it really does have a place, and I think it could be really good next year. We'll talk more about why Jigglypuff is lower than maybe it should be later on. Anyway, number 9. Boop. We have personal favorite of mine, Hitmontop. Hitmontop, really good support Pokemon. It does get Fake Out, it gets Wide Guard, it gets Feint, it gets Helping Hand, it gets Fake Out, Wide Guard, Helping Hand, Feint. Yeah, like those are like the big support moves. It gets Close Combat. The real thing is that it's one of the few Pokemon that gets Intimidate and Fake Out. Incineroar kind of dominated it the last few years, but with, hopefully, please, no Incineroar. Hitmontop, I think, has a place to shine. You might be thinking the combination of Intimidate and Fake Out is really good, and you're not wrong, it is. There's a reason that Hitmontop was never, before Incineroar, it was never that popular, and it was most popular on years with restricted Pokemon, where it could, like, really support those Pokemon well. Although it does have some usage in non-restricted formats as well. I would say that it's always shown in restricted formats. So it does get Wide Guard. Wide Guard is probably going to be a really useful move next year if I had to guess. Simply because with a restricted dex you have restricted options. So yeah, so Wide Guard's basically probably going to be like pretty useful because not a lot of Pokemon are going to get it. Fighting typing is okay. You probably wouldn't use the other abilities, but yeah, I think Hitmontop is a Pokemon that I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't get much usage, but I feel like if you can find the right niche for it, it could be really good. Let's move on. Next up, we have Another Pokemon that I have a love-hate relationship with Milotic. I use it somewhat often, but I tend to not like it that much, even though I use it a lot. Milotic is pretty much on here. It's a super bulky water type. Bulky waters in restricted formats, I personally feel, are generally pretty good. I'm trying to think of examples. There wasn't really much in 2011, mostly Jellicent, but there was all Thundurus, so it doesn't really count. 2014, 2017. You know what? Maybe bulky waters aren't that good in restricted formats, but Milotic has a specific niche, which is that it gets competitive. And competitive in a format with some of the other Intimidators that we have access to, including Hitmontop, who is on the list, Gyarados, who I didn't include on the list, and a Pokemon that you'll see later on. I think Milotic has a real place. Intimidate, over the years, has become a literal staple. Okay, not a literal staple, but like a figurative staple on most competitive teams. It's very rare that a team will succeed without Intimidate now, and normally if it does succeed without Intimidate, it's like a hyper-offense style team, which, of course, we will have next year, but it's not. I wouldn't expect it to be the default option, so bulky, competitive, bulky water type is pretty good. Bulky, competitive, bulky, yep. So I have Milotic at number 8 for that reason. I don't think Icy Wind is a learned move. Let's check that really quickly. I never knew the alphabet. Yeah, Icy Wind unfortunately is a move shooter attack, so most likely Milotic will not have access to that. But even still, Recover, Scald, Protect, and one more, Toxic, Ice Beam, or like it's a solid option, or a coverage move if you want. Let's move on. Number 7 is a Pokemon I really like a lot. A lot of these Pokemon I like, can you tell? Mimikyu. Mimikyu's on here. Mimikyu loses its Z move, but Mimikyu kind of has this... like, Disguise is just really good. Disguise is an amazing ability, and Mimikyu in a metagame that might be slower, depending on how things shape up, 96 base speed, it could actually be good, I think. It has access to Swords Dance, it has a built-in Disguise, which is really incredible. It has priority, it has good coverage with Wood Hammer, Play Rough, Shadow moves, Ghost moves, really good support options as well. And Taunt, it can... Trick Room, which is a huge one. It's one of the best Trick Room setters in the game because it always lives. It normally will live at least one attack. And normally you can, if you want it to be bulky, you can normally EV it for 2. So Mimikyu is a Pokemon that I think will be used a lot in dedicated Trick Room teams. I don't believe Porygon has been revealed yet. Yeah, it has not been revealed. So for that reason, I think Mimikyu is probably, for people looking to build Trick Room teams, I think Mimikyu is going to be a staple. And it's just like a solid Pokemon overall, basically. But yeah, that's number 7. Number 6, this might be controversial. Maybe it's controversial to have Hydreigon on this list. I don't know. Hydreigon's fallen off in the last few years, specifically since they added fairies. But let's not forget this Pokemon won Worlds at least twice. It won in 2011 on Ray's team, and it won in 2012 on Ray's team. Didn't win 13. Sajin didn't have it. Yeah, so it hasn't. But it is a 2-time world champion nonetheless. Hydreigon gets really, really, really good moves, and it's a very strong Pokemon. It also has a pretty high base speed. I believe it's 99, actually. Is that right? That can't be right. What's Hydreigon's base speed? I thought it was 99. It's in the 90s. Maybe it's not 96. It's faster than Mimikyu, I think. I can't do the alphabet. What's Hydreigon's base speed? Let's find out. Oh, 98. Okay, I was close. Yeah, 98 base speed's pretty good, especially in a metagame where there's like Mega Kangaskhan. There was a period where base 100 Pokemon were like so dominant. Specifically, the whole metagame felt like it revolved around base 100 Pokemon. I think a lot of that was because of Kangaskhan, but there were a couple years where it felt like base 100 was the number to beat. I don't know how the speeds are going to shape up this year, but I think Hydreigon has a lot of potential. In addition to its Dark and Dragon type moves, it also gets Fire type coverage. I believe it gets Flash Cannon, and it gets Earth Power as well. Hydreigon's main problem is Fairy type Pokemon, having a 4-times weakness to Fairy. In addition to the fact that there does seem to be a decent chunk of fighting types this year. Yeah. It's definitely, it's like an interesting Pokemon. I could see it working. I wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't turn out to be good, but I think just looking at what I've seen so far, I do feel like it has a pretty good, like a pretty big place. And there's I think Hydreigon also might match up favorably against like a lot of the top threats, which we'll get to. So for that reason, I have Hydreigon at number 6. You can disagree. Obviously, this is my personal, it's just my opinion. But yeah, that's Hydreigon number 6. Number 5, and I'm going to say that some of these Pokemon I didn't know exactly how to order them. I have Tyranitar at number 5. Tyranitar, I really wasn't sure if it should be near, like, closer to the top, closer to the bottom. I could really see it going either way. There was a period, like 2012, 2013, where Tyranitar just felt like incredible. It felt like one of the best Pokemon. It had a lot of usage in 2014, as I recall. Had some usage in 2015 as well. But overall, I feel like it's fallen off. And then 16 obviously didn't get any usage. It wasn't legal in 17. And I did win regionals with it in 2018. I brought Mega Tyranitar to Nationals, and I think I brought it to Worlds as well, but it felt like a lot worse. So Tyranitar is a Pokemon where it has a lot of options. It can be bulky and slow. It can be fast with Dragon Dance. It can hit really hard. Intimidate hurts it a lot, and yeah, that's like a big thing. But it's really bulky. Similar to Jigglypuff, it has amazing base stats and Sandstream. Sandstream with the right support can be really good. Sandstream in general is a good ability if your team benefits from it. Even if your team, as long as your team isn't hurt by it more than your opponent's team, it's normally like a net neutral. Chip damage might not sound like a lot, but with specific calcs and stuff, it can add up. In addition to the special defense boost, in addition to protecting yourself from opposing weather. We actually have Ninetales in this format. I believe, yep, Ninetales is legal. Like I said, a Abomasnow is legal. Abomasnow. I don't think Politoed has been revealed yet. It's not, but Pelipper has, so you do have the option of Rain. You see Ludicolo's here as well. Ludicolo was a near miss for this list. I really love Ludicolo, but I don't think it's subjectively, like, better than anything on this list. Although, objectivity in Pokemon metagames is kind of, you know, without knowing the metagame can be a little bit of a stretch, but regardless, I'm getting on a tangent. Anyway, for that reason, I think having a weather to protect yourself, especially given how max moves work and how it sounds like a lot of these weather, like a lot of these max moves can affect weather. I think you could have, I believe they can affect weather. Am I crazy? Well, regardless, I think they affect weather. Just in general, weather is normally in an underdeveloped metagame, weather is a pretty prominent threat. So I think the fact that there's a Pokemon like Tyranitar who is versatile, who's bulky, and like can give you some defense against that, I think is pretty good. So for that reason, its ability to be a sweeper with weakness policy, with Dragon Dance, with Rock Polish if you really wanted it, though I don't recommend it. Its ability to hit hard, or its ability to have really good natural bulk. Or you can give that thing an Assault Vest and just have it be, like, unkillable. I have Tyranitar pretty high. Good coverage as well. Rock and Dark is nice. It gets Earthquake, obviously. This isn't going to show me. Gets Earthquake. It gets me Elemental Punches, but I believe they're, like, tutor moves, so I don't think it'll have that. But yeah, overall, Tyranitar is a solid mon. Up next is a Pokemon that's actually never been that good in VGC, apart from 2013, where Randy Quad used it really well, before it was a Fairy type. I actually have Togekiss as like the fourth best Pokemon on this list. Fourth best Pokemon that I've seen in terms of next year's metagame. Togekiss is super bulky. It's really struggled because of its, like the metagame specifically. Like, it was only really legal in 18 and 19. 19 you can never really think that much about because with everyone countering Xerneas, Togekiss by virtue of its flying typing also took a big hit. However, Follow Me is incredible. Redirection is one of the best things in the game, and not only does Togekiss get Follow Me, we're going to play, does it get Tailwind naturally? Because I think it does, but I'm not sure. Because it's never been legal in a restricted metagame before. Togekiss, oopsie, Tailwind. Let's move to attacks. Okay, so it doesn't get Tailwind. But even without that, Roost, Air Slash, Thunder Wave, Protect, Follow Me, all really good moves. Nasty Plot, it could be a sweeper. The thing is, Serene Grace is just crazy. Serene Grace is actually honestly crazy. Does Secret Power have a 60% chance to paralyze? I believe it does, actually. So you can actually paralyze, like, ground types, which is interesting. Air Slash is ridiculous. It's actually busted. Togekiss has decent coverage, but the reason it's on this list isn't for its sweeping ability, it's for its support ability. 50% Berry Togekiss with Intimidate support. Follow Me in general is just such a good attack, and at a Pokemon like Togekiss, which has Serene Grace to protect itself a little bit, speed control options that are actually reliable, unlike a lot of other things. In addition to Tapu Fini being gone, most likely, rest in peace Tapu Bulu. Can we get an F in the chat for Tapu Bulu? I think Togekiss could be really good and really hard to remove. I think a lot of the Pokemon on this list, I guess, like, some of the Pokemon on this list have a favorable Togekiss matchup, but I don't think the majority of the metagame will. So, like, Jiggle can deal with it. Tyranitar's pretty good. Mimikyu I would give it even to, depending on the speeds. But if it has Thunder Wave, I wouldn't give it to Mimikyu. And then, like, one more above it, the number 3 Pokemon. But yeah, basically for that reason, I think Togekiss is actually, like, a really, really, really good support Pokemon, despite not having Tailwind most likely. And I'm going to be really... This is one of the Pokemon that I'm going to have my eye on the most, because it's a Pokemon that hasn't had a ton of success in past years of VGC, but I think has incredible potential. Like, I'm actually, without knowing much about the upcoming format, with the very limited information we have, I am shocked that they let Togekiss in here. Togekiss feels like a Pokemon that, like, is, like, not a Pokemon that should be allowed right now. But yeah, maybe I should have put a Togekiss higher, but I figured, because it like, doesn't have that many results, I figured it was maybe a little bit too... Like, I didn't want to do anything too crazy. I wanted to be, like, at least a little bit, like, results-driven. Anyway, number 3, we have a Pokemon that everyone seems to have forgotten about, Aegislash. Honestly, I think Aegislash has a shot at number 2 and number 1 as well. The last 3 I was kind of torn on where to put them, and just kind of did it based on my own personal preference. Aegislash is so incredibly good, and I feel like everyone forgot that this thing was, like, so hard to beat because of stupid Incineroar and Z-moves really weakening it. But guess what we don't have anymore? Honestly, Aegislash should probably be number 1 on this list. Aegislash should be number 1 on this list, I think. But it's at number 3. You'll see why. Substitute King Shield. King Shield, Aegislash's stats are so good. And while it does have a couple inherent weaknesses, King Shield not protecting from taunt, not protecting from status moves, being weak to taunt in general, its typing is incredible. It's got good support moves in Wide Guard, good support move in Wide Guard. It does have priority, you're probably not going to use it, but its stats are just so incredibly powerful that, like when you consider both Shield and Sword form, it's such a powerful Pokemon, and it's really, really, really difficult to deal with. And it has a lot of sets it can run. Like, back in the day, we ran a lot of, like, substitute Aegislash, because Shadow Ball doesn't KO their Shield, Shadow Ball Aegislash, so, in Shield form, so it was a lot of, like, Aegislash mirrors. And then people started running max speed with, like, Sacred Sword and Life Orb and Shadow Ball. Like, I think it was Naive, max speed, max special attack, maybe, with Life Orb, Shadow Ball, because that OHKO'd other Aegislash. And then there was, like, this whole, like, 2014, for those of you who didn't play, was, like, wild. And, like, 2015, there wasn't that much Aegislash usage, but, like, a lot of it was because Kangaskhan, although Kangaskhan was meh against Aegislash. Heatran, the core was Heatran, Landorus, T, Amoonguss, right? Kangaskhan, Thundurus, probably Cresselia. And, like, Thundurus, Heatran, Mega Kangaskhan, and Landorus T all had, like, a pretty favorable Aegislash matchup, and even still, Aegislash got some usage. So I want you to think about that when you consider that none of those Pokemon are legal this time. And Tyranitar is not an Aegislash counter because, number 1, they could run Sacred Sword. Number 2, I don't think Crunch kills. Number 3, you crunch at the wrong time, King Shield. And now your Tyranitar is -2. That's not even considering you could pair it with Will-O-Wisp, you could pair it with Intimidate, you could pair it with Togekiss. You were in a Wide Guard, Aegislash for Earthquake. Like, it's an incredible Pokemon. Toxic is also valuable with it. I actually won Regionals with Aegislash in 2018 right after Incineroar was released. Actually, yeah, with Incineroar out, I still won Regionals with Aegislash, but yeah, it's so good, and, like, the metagames, this is another Pokemon where, like, the metagames have not been kind to it recently, but it's such a strong Pokemon that, like, I feel like this thing's gonna be huge. Number 2, another Pokemon that I feel like, this one probably should be number 3 just because of its variability. Snorlax. I don't have that much to say about Snorlax. Everyone knows it's so strong. It can run Stockpile, Belly Drum. It can run Curse. It can run Recycle. Recycle's not an egg move, is it? Sorry, I maybe should have checked this in advance, but I'm a little short in time, so I wanted to do it live. Recycle. Okay. Oh, okay, that's interesting. But no, Snorlax got Recycle in 2017. Why did Snorlax get Recycle in 2017 if it's a move tutor move? I think sometimes the way that Cerebi works, actually, I feel like if it's a move tutor move, but it's also an egg move, it might not be allowed. But Snorlax definitely had Recycle in 2017, which means it will definitely have Recycle this year. Wait, why is that? Does it learn Recycle any other way? Huh. I don't really understand what's going on here, but, Snorlax is really scary. The combination of Mimikyu and Snorlax is especially scary, though I will say without Z Destiny Mod, it's a little weaker. But it's only a little bit weaker. Snorlax, it's a setup mon. It's a setup mon with Gluttony, recovers 50% of HP, and insane natural bulk, even if you don't run Cursed, even if you don't run Stockpile, it's still really bulky. It's a Pokemon that forces your opponent to react to it almost instantly. And yeah, it's just, honestly, it's just a scary Pokemon. Like, I don't have that much to say about it because I think everyone knows how good Snorlax is. It was probably the best Pokemon of 2017. It was maybe the best Pokemon of 2018, though I don't know if I'd go that far, actually, but it's very good. It's really good. As an aside, a lot of these Pokemon that I'm looking at here, I've kind of noticed have a weakness to Taunt. We've got Snorlax, we've got Aegislash, we have Togekiss. Mimikyu, I would give somewhat a weakness to Taunt. Milotic can't recover with Taunt, and then, yeah. The Pokemon that aren't on this list, that aren't, like, especially weak to Taunt, are, like, Hitmontop, kind of, but not really. Jiggleth, kind of, but not really. Tyranitar and Hydreigon. Tyranitar's kind of weak to Taunt. It depends on the user. But yeah, I feel like Taunt could be really good this year, so maybe Taunt Mimikyu. And what's the fastest Pokemon on this list is actually Hydreigon, actually, funnily enough. It's like a lot of, like, mid-speed mons, which is why I feel like this format might be slower, but again, a lot depends on the new Pokemon, a lot depends on Gigamax or whatever the heck it is, Gigantamax. Anyway, you guys probably know who's number 1 at this point. Let's just do it. Best Pokemon of 2017, apart from maybe Snorlax. One of the best support Pokemon of 2017, without a doubt. We've got Arcanine, Fire Dog. Probably the best Intimidator that we have at present. I hope we get a new Intimidator that's good because, yeah. Arcanine's one of the few Pokemon that can learn Helping Hand without egg moves. Or without move tutors, which is pretty good. It gets Extreme Speed, it gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Protect. It does get Morning Sun, it's probably not going to be that good with it. And then Fire coverage. In addition to, like, in 2017, people would run, like, Choice Band, Close Combat, Flare Blitz, Wild Charge, Extreme Speed. So it actually has good offensive coverage as well. But Intimidate, good natural bulk, good defensive typing. Fire, surprisingly, is actually a decent defensive typing. With 3 weaknesses, right? Fire, or ground, rock, and water, but the weaknesses are manageable. And it's not a dual type, so it only has 3 weaknesses, so, like, they feel more manageable. And thanks to its Intimidate ability, like, I remember Arcanine would live, like, Earthquakes from Garchomp pretty, like, reasonably. Maybe even before Intimidate. That might be a calc you can do. I think it actually is a calc you can do. Yeah, so yeah, Arcanine, it's an incredible Pokemon. I would be real. I think that as the format develops, I wouldn't be surprised if Arcanine fell off a little bit, but I think once the, like, first tournament, Arcanine's going to be everywhere, because everyone's going to be like, this is, you know, people go back to what they're comfortable with, and they're going to look at the last restricted format, which was 2017. Arcanine's going to be everywhere, I'm telling you right now, but I'm interested to see if it stays at the top as the format develops. And if I'm even right, I'm interested to see if my prediction is even correct. So, that's the whole list. I'll just scroll through really quickly and then throw out a couple other honorable mentions. If you like this kind of video, by the way, let me know, because I'm happy to do more analysis of, like, what I see of the metagame so far. Raichu, strong Pokemon, good supporting options. Doesn't have Endeavor anymore. Should have, like, Fake Out, Nuzzle, Volt Switch. Status got weakened a lot with the Tapus. I'm interested to see if there's other terrain abilities. Yeah. Clefable's also another Follow Me Pokemon that has potential. I've never been crazy about Clefairy or Clefable, but you could argue that it'd be good. Ninetales, traditionally not that good, but if you can build a good Sun team, you have that option. Machamp, I've always loved Machamp. I throw it on my teams every once in a while. It's never that good. Gengar, without its Mega Stone, without Levitate, it's probably going to be bad. Could be good, probably going to be bad. In specific metagames, like in 2014, Marcus actually, and 2015, I believe, Marcus used regular Gengar. 2015 as well? Is that really right? That can't be right. In 2014, for sure, he won Nationals with Focus Sash Gengar, but it had Levitate back then. It was actually really interesting. Weezing is probably not going to be good, but Galarian Weezing... Oh, it's Poison and Fairy? I thought it was just Fairy. Huh. This thing I'm really excited for, as an aside. I think this thing's going to be really strong. Rhyperior is a Pokemon, and Rhydon as well. So, for those of you who don't know, Rhydon actually got 3rd at Worlds in 2013, and Rhyperior got 2nd at Nationals at 2013. So, these are Pokemon that have had, like, a tiny, tiny spotlight. And in a metagame like this, I think there's a chance they could shine again. So I would keep your eye... Niche picks, I would keep your eye on these guys. Gyarados, like I mentioned, the reason I don't have Gyarados on this list is even though it has Intimidate, its stats aren't that good, it's really weak to Intimidate, and it doesn't have a good single target flying attack. It doesn't have a good flying attack in general. Its best option is Bounce, which they got around a little bit in 2017 with Z moves, but, like, yeah. Ditto, not really good in a non-restricted format. Vaporeon's actually a good bulky water. I used it in 2014. Umbreon, I wouldn't expect to get a ton of usage, but I wouldn't have expected it to get a ton of usage this year, so we'll see. Sylveon, actually, is the original 10th Pokemon I had in this list over, who did I put on instead? I put Jigglypuff on instead of Sylveon. I've always liked Sylveon. People don't agree with me that without Hyper Voice it's still good. I still like it. Weavile, probably not good. Mamoswine has some usage at One World, so I think Mamoswine could be good. We talked about T-Tar. Love Ludicolo, really good Assault Vest user in VGC. I love it to death. This is going to get some usage, I just don't know how much. Oh, if I don't click, you don't see my mouse. Gardevoir had some usage in 2014. I used it personally with Safeguard and Swagger. That was fun, and Will-O-Wisp. I really like Gardevoir, like base Gardevoir. I think Mega Gardevoir is not as cool. Don't expect it to be huge, but I like it. Sableye has a chance to shine this year. Really good support options. Lack of Tapus, lack of Psychic Terrain, lack of Electric Terrain, lack of Misty Terrain. That could improve it a lot. Flygon, probably bad. I know everyone loves Flygon. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I love Dusknoir. I don't think it's going to be good, but it actually, if you had a dedicated Trick Room team, if Dusknoir is going to be good, it's going to be this year. Gastrodon I hate, but it's in the Dex. You're welcome. Drifblim has some usage. Not normally a good mon. Has some usage. There's actually a lot of good Trick Room setters here. Bronzong's another really bulky Pokemon. Might have some usage. Lucario is another Follow Me user. Could be good. Hippowdon I love, but it's probably bad. But who knows? Abomasnow could be good. Has a lot of things going for it. I totally forgot about Rotom. Rotom should be on this list. I'm really sorry. I missed Rotom because it wasn't listed out in all the forums. Bonus content. Rotom somewhere between. Rotom I'd probably put Rotom at number 4. Bump Tyranitar down, or sorry, number 5, right after Togekiss. Rotom, incredible Pokemon, good bulk, good coverage options. Volt Switch, Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp, Protect, Screens, great Pokemon. Not base Rotom, but Rotom Washer for me and Rotom Oven for me are both really solid Pokemon. So that should be on here for sure. I apologize for that. I missed Rotom. Swoobat, Woobat, Swoobat wins Worlds. What do you guys think? Conk, I like. We'll have to see. Could be good depending on the metagame, but I'm not confident saying it'll be good without seeing the metagame. It hits really hard, though. Seismichode is not very good. Whimsicott, annoying. I expect it to get some usage. I don't expect it to be amazing because it's a Whimsicott, but who knows. Gothitelle is another Pokemon I thought I would put on here, but I ended up not. More of a niche pick. Could really be good. It could definitely be good. I just don't know. Reuniclus, great Pokemon. Another good Trick Room setter. Another good Trick Room sweeper, actually. I'll always love Reuniclus. Escavalier, world champion. 2-time world champion, at least. Like it. I like it a lot. Niche pick. Jellicent, I love. Great Pokemon. Could be good. Ferrothorn, I hate it. It could be good. Chandelure, maybe. Haxorus, nah. We talked about Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz, actually, maybe. I kind of wrote off Mandibuzz, but actually, it could maybe be good. I mean, it almost won Worlds in 2017. Diggersby, niche pick, could actually be good. Talk about Aegislash. Meowstic, I'm not crazy about, maybe. Slurpuff, similar thing. Like, it's mostly a Gimmick. Same with Malamar. Like, these guys are Gimmicks. I'm waving my mouse around, but you can't see. These two are Gimmicks, but I think they'll get some usage for sure. Hawlucha is good in singles. I would be surprised if it got much usage. I always think Goodra's bad. Pro tip, don't use Goodra. It's bad. People are like, oh, I have a rain weakness. Let me add Goodra. But then you have a Goodra on your team. Ice Table, very bad. Noivern, probably bad. I think Rabombi's a mon with a ton of potential. I would love to see it get some usage. I don't think it will, but who knows. Great speed stat. Mudsdale has some usage in 17. Will probably have some usage this year. I don't expect it to be great. But where is a Pokemon that has a chance to shine, actually? Sarina's another Pokemon that narrowly missed the list. Sarina's great. I think it could be really good. I wouldn't be surprised if Sarina were to do very well this year. Togedemaru, a personal favorite of mine. With no Koko, I don't know how good it'll be, but it still has really nice support options with Super Fang. Although Super Fang, I believe Super Fang's a tutor move, so never mind about Super Fang. Maybe Endeavor as well. It's a tutor move. This thing is trash. And Mew is good. That's it. This went a little longer than I intended. I apologize for that. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you like this kind of video. It's very interesting for me to do. I really enjoy doing it. But if the people don't want it, then the people won't get it. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.